Do you want your BLtouch to be faster, more accurate, and automatically handle any thickness build surface? Stay tuned. Previously, I made a video on how to add a BLtouch to my Cocoon Create Touch, which is a 1-hour duplicator i3 clone. I followed the instructions with the excellent ADV i3++ aftermarket firmware, and they were great because they included 3D printed parts as well as all the configuration pre-made. Now, as much as I appreciated that, I was still left wanting more. My biggest gripe was how long it took the auto mesh bedeling sequence to undertake, and therefore I didn't want to put it before every print. That's where I started my journey, but I ended with something a whole lot better. I've put in a lot of effort for this video, creating 3D printed parts and a complete configuration guide, so stay tuned and hopefully it's really useful for you. I'm going to split up this video into 3 stages of improvement. The first being how to vastly improve the speed of the probing, the second improving the accuracy by setting the grid area correctly, and the third by replacing the end stop with the BLtouch so you can use any thickness material you want on top of your bed. Now, in the last video, I downloaded the pre-configured hex file, but this time around, we're going to have to do all of our own work in Marlin. So you should start by going to the releases section and downloading the source code zip file and putting it in your Arduino sketch folder. Let's firstly look at how to enable a BLtouch build with this firmware. So we've downloaded the source files from the GitHub and we've opened the main marlin.ino file. And what we need to do is to navigate all of these tabs to the correct one to enable our BLtouch build. So let's scroll down until we find all of the ones with the name of the firmware there. And then we're going to come to defines, and there's simply one line we need to uncomment, which means deleting these 2 slashes at the start. And now, by doing nothing else, if we compile this, we will be building the same version that is pre-configured as a hex file on the GitHub. So this gets us to exactly where my last video tutorial got us to, and we have a choice of 2 great mounts to use as we're installing the BLtouch. So what if you want more? Well, let's look at phase 1, increasing the speed. Back to Arduino. Now, all of the changes from this point onwards are in configuration H, and the first thing I'm going to address is the speed in which the auto bed process goes. By default, it's 3 to 4 minutes. By doing this, you'll get it down to around 30 seconds, which in my opinion makes it viable to do at the start of every print. Let me talk you through it. Now, for any of these, you can simply do a Control or Command F to find the specific setting that I'm talking about to save you from doing all of this scrolling. So I'll do this here now, and I'm looking for max feed rate. And we get to the section that I want. You'll notice the first change that I've done is upping the default max feed rate from 5 to 20 millimeters per second. And yes, it's 4 times bigger, but when you see it in action, hopefully you'll agree that it's definitely not excessive. Next one is the BLtouch delay, and by default that is 375 or 0.375 of a second. This is a delay after it finishes moving to get into position before the probe is deployed and it starts to move down to activate that probe. Now, my research tells me that 75 is the minimum, so I went to 100 and I found this speeds up things a great deal, yet it's still reliable. Okay, we have several changes here. The first one is the XY probe speed. By default, that's going to be set to 8,000. That is the speed in which it moves between the various probing points as it goes around the grid. So we up that from 8,000 to 10,000 just to save a little bit of time there. This next one here is a big one. By default, this one is 8. The default behavior is that the probe deploys, goes down, touches, comes back up, and then comes back down at 1/8 of the speed. And I find this excessively slow. So what I do is to set it to 2, and then it comes down at half the speed. Now, I did test this and the results are pretty repeatable. Most of the time they're less than 0.05 variance. The main thing is the proof is in the pudding because the feature works as it should. Okay, this one here by default is 15 and 5. This is how much it lifts up in between probing as it repeats it each time. I found that these numbers, while they are reduced, they're definitely safe, and I've never run into any problems where as it's moving around, the nozzle drags or hits anything. Here is our last setting to improve the speed, and it's under the homing speeds, and we put our homing feed rate up from 4 times 60 to 20 times 60. Once again, it's 5 times faster, but I found it quite repeatable and accurate, and it hasn't caused me any issues at all. At this point, you're ready to compile and upload to the board for vastly faster G29 speeds. Well, there's phase 1 complete, and I have been testing this for several weeks now without any issues at all. Remember, you are free to back off any of the settings if you feel it'll be more reliable. We can add G29 to the start of our G code so it happens every time now, but there's one little tweak we have to do to make sure it works as well as it can. A little problem I had is that normally after doing a G28 home all axis, the nozzle is in the front left at 0, 0. Now when we finished the G29 auto bed leveling, it's going to be in the rear corner of the printer. So I just needed to add a couple of lines to tell it to go back to 0, 0, 10 high, and then go down just above the bed, and then do the sequence as usual after that. Now we can move on to phase 2, which aims to improve the accuracy of where our mesh is scanned and therefore the quality of our mesh compensation. This was first brought to my attention by comments on my previous video. They pointed to an issue in the firmware from the developer where they thought the results were a little bit inconsistent on the left-hand side of the probing. This behavior may or may not be explained by the fact that in the default configuration, the probing grid is biased to the front left of the printer. Now the jury, you'd have to say, is still out on whether this is actually an issue or not. But to try and make it as good as possible, I've designed two mounts which I'll refer to in the following sequence. The first one I call the side mount, and that's to be used if you've still got the factory fan on. The second one I call the front mount, and you can only fit this if you switch to an aftermarket cooler like the C cooler, which mounts at the rear of the hot end. I've set up a scale diagram in Illustrator, which I hope to use to explain what I think the problem is and how my fixes address this. Okay, here we have a diagram in Illustrator which is going to help me explain everything. Firstly, we have our bed here, 200 by 200. Over here we have a representation of where the probe is compared to the nozzle if you use one of the pre-designed mounts in the guide for ADV i3PP. So the probe is 40 down and 28 to the left, so that's a minus number. It works the same as any other XY graph. So the important thing to note is that the nozzle is contained in its movements inside the bed area. Therefore, we cannot define anything that will send the nozzle outside. So say we wanted to probe way over on the side here, you'll see that the probe is on the bed, but the nozzle has gone beyond the area where it can actually travel. So therefore we need to be a little bit more conservative with these numbers than you might think. And by default, as it probes, it comes from this corner across to here, zigzags, back and forth, until it ends up here. You'll notice that the nozzle stays within the bed the whole time. However, there is still room for a little bit more. So the first way you can improve it is by expanding this area. So here's our larger version. We've added a little bit to the right and a little bit to the rear. So if I bring the probe over, you can see the nozzle is just inside the bed area. And if I bring it up into this corner, once again, it's just inside that area. Now there's a problem here that it's still not symmetrical. So what I would suggest if you're using the standard mount is a third option. So this one actually reduces the area a little bit, but you'll notice that we limit it by the side and the rear, but then we reduce these numbers down the front. So we are probing symmetrically in the center of the bed. And I had pretty good results with this. So I actually designed my own mount to try and improve this situation just a little bit. And you'll notice that if I overlay the two nozzles, that I have the probe just a little bit closer to the nozzle, which is what we're always aiming for. So the offsets for this one are minus 38 down, so that's 2 millimeters saved, and minus 24 to the left, so that's 4 millimeters saved. That expands the probing area out about 5 mils. Let's overlay the two together. You can see that we're getting just a little bit more width with this. Now, if you're willing to install an aftermarket cooling fan, then you'll be able to fit this one that I have designed here. So this is a mount that tries to put it in front instead of to the side. So if here's the nozzle, you can see the BLtouch used to be down and to the left, but on my front mount edition, it's down and very slightly to the right. I wasn't able to improve on that 38 mils down from the nozzle, but getting it 10 mils instead of 24 away affords us the ability to have an even wider probing area. So if we compare it here, we gained an extra 5 millimeters again, and that takes us all the way from 20 to 180 and the same 40 and 160 at the back. There's nothing to stop you from putting this one all the way down to something like 10 or 20 if you want to do it, but then it's no longer in the center of the bed. That's a personal preference that you can follow. Now that we understand how the probing grid works, we can select any of the mounts available, and this is how you then apply that in the firmware. There's only two simple areas to change. What we're doing here is setting the probe offset from extruder, and with the standard ADV i3PP mount, it will be minus 28, minus 40. If you're using my Teaching Tech side mount, that becomes minus 24 and minus 38. And if you're using my front mount, it becomes positive 10 and stays at -38. Now this section here, if you search for boundaries for probing, you will come up to the boundaries of the grid in which it probes. And these are the settings for my front mount configuration. So that's 20 from the left, therefore 180 from the right to keep it symmetrical, 40 from the front, and therefore 160 from the rear to keep that symmetrical also. Feel free to go back in the video and pause and enter the numbers I had on screen to suit whichever configuration that you're after. Now phase 3, in my opinion, is the most useful. Here I have a PEI sheet, a BLtouch sheet, and a sheet of glass, and they're all different thicknesses. If I was to change between these, I'd need to manually level the bed, and for me, that's too much effort. There is a very small wiring change, and that involves unplugging the factory Z end stop from the main board and plugging in the BLtouch black and white wires as shown in its place. Now that we've done that, we can make the necessary changes in the firmware. Alrighty, our last raft of changes, and by default, the BLtouch is plugged into the Z max end stop, so we need to put it into the Z min, and therefore there's some changes that need to happen with that. The first thing I've done is comment out define use Z max plug, because we're no longer going to be using that, so we add 2 slashes to the front. End stop pull up Z min probe by default will be commented, we need to uncomment that. And then we also need to come down to this line here, Z min probe end stop inverting, and change it from the default false to true. Okay, we scroll a little bit further to our Z probe options, and by default this will be commented. We need to uncomment it, and just a little bit further along the same lines, we can see it's commented that this is for using the Z max end stop, so therefore we need to add the 2 comments here so it no longer tries to do that. In here is our final change, and it's a very vital one. We need to uncomment define Z safe homing. That means it'll home X and Y first and then travel over to the middle of the bed before it attempts to do Z to make sure the probe is definitely going to touch the bed and not miss and have the nozzle collide. Now the first time you're testing this, you will need some common sense. Manually raise the Z up really high, and before you start to home, have your hand ready. Make sure the BLtouch is going to trigger and stop the downward movement on your hand before you risk crashing it into the bed. Once that's working, attempt it properly. If the BLtouch is not triggering properly on your hand, double check your wiring. I found that the polarity was quite important in this case. There's just one final piece of the puzzle before we can get printing, and that's calibrating the Z probe offset. Previously, we used to set the distance between the nozzle and the bed by adjusting the thumb screws and moving the bed up or down. Instead, what we need to do is enter a value in the firmware, and to do that, we go to Setup and then Sensor. The way this works is pretty simple. If it's too close, you hit the minus to move the bed further away. If it's too close, you hit the plus to lift it up. My suggestion is that you start with something conservative close to 0 and then repeatedly do a small test print, making the number more and more negative until you get that perfect first layer. My finished setting with my front mount version ended up being minus 1.8 millimeters, give or take. Time for test prints. Remember all those different build surfaces I showed you earlier? Let's put them to the test. I measured this very thin X in Onshape and brought it into Simplified 3D to test back to back with the different surfaces. The first surface I tested with this aftermarket Prusa Mark III PEI sheet. It's compatible with the BuildTech flex plate, and it was highly successful. After that, I switched back to the flex plate and a BuildTech sheet, which is very slightly thicker than the previous one. You can see here it's damaged from a loose X-axis connector when printing TPU, but even though it's thicker, it was still a success. Next, I thought I'd up the ante and install a sheet of glass. Now this is significantly thicker, but once again, successful. As one final test of the capabilities of the system, I switched to another sheet of glass that had tape across the top, and I wedged a ruler under one side to exaggerate the angle not being level. Well, guess what? Success again. Now I feel the time I've spent on this is well spent because it's made this printer so much more usable. In some ways even more usable than the Mark III, because the Mark III inductive probe only works on metallic surfaces, but as you've seen here, I can use glass or anything else that I want. I'd just like to thank again Sebastian, the developer of ADV i3++, as well as the developer of i3++ before that, for laying down a fantastic platform that makes this so easy to do for users. The links to Thingiverse for the 2 mounts I've designed are in the description below, and I'd love you to comment if you attempt this to let me know how you got on. Thanks so much for watching, hopefully this can really help you out, and until next time, happy 3D printing. G'day, it's Michael again. If you like the video, then please click like. If you want to see more content like this in future, click subscribe, and make sure you click on the bell to receive every notification. If you really want to support the channel and see exclusive content, become a patron. Visit my Patreon page. See you next time.